First of all, Aubrey and I just want to extend a huge appreciation for all you do and how you're still willing to make this commitment to keep things moving forward with the 4-H program, even with all the other challenges each of us is facing in work and home life and even school schedules with kids. We appreciate your commitment to the 4-H program because we certainly could not do this without you, and our extension staff alone could not do so. The stuff that we wanted to start with is just giving you an update about the coronavirus as it relates to our extension office and 4-H programming. So beginning yesterday afternoon, we closed our office, and all of our extension staff are now working from home, and all have phone and email access. So you're welcome to still reach out to us and contact us for any questions that you have and support that you need. As it relates to extension programs, we just physically are not in the office. So one of the challenging things with that is access to 4-H books, which is not able to happen now until March 31st. This slide here is just a reminder of the resources to the CDC and Ohio Department of Health should you need to access that. And when we share this presentation afterwards, all of these items that are linked in the PowerPoint should be able to be a direct link for you to click through if you need any of these resources. So the biggest thing, as we've communicated by email for the past week, essentially, is that there are no in-person 4-H club meetings or events now through April 20th. Everything can be done virtually. We are going to be sharing some resources with advisors about how you can still meet with your 4-H clubs through Skype, Zoom, Google Hangouts, Facebook Live. There actually is a nice resource list that the State 4-H office put together and shared with us just yesterday. If you are on Facebook and were added or joined the Facebook group that Aubrey and I started for Fairfield County 4-H advisors, I did share that resource to that group last night. If you need a link to join that Facebook group, let me know, but we are keeping that as a private group limited to our own county advisors, so we can begin to share things like this there. If you are going to be doing virtual meetings to keep things moving forward as enrollment approaches, I would encourage you to figure out a good way to track attendance, and maybe it's by having the kids interact, if it's a two-way communication option, or having them make comments if you're doing like a Facebook Live where they can't really respond in physical form with video or audio, but they could by chatting. So think of a way how you would track attendance so that they can get a meeting credit for that. Additional resources are going to be posted on that website right there, specifically for 4-H advisors, as we are going through this transition of how to conduct business and keep the 4-H program moving forward, with the anticipation that hopefully all of our summer programming can continue as planned. So the biggest challenge for us, I think, considering the timing, is 4-H book distribution has been suspended, and that was effective as of yesterday when we closed the office, and that is at the local and state level now through March 31st. And I know some probably wish they had their books so that they could start working on things, but unfortunately that cannot happen at this time. The state office is going to look at where things stand with this situation at closer to March 31st to see if can we start to distribute books at that point, or do we need to extend that date. Those white binders that some of the clubs take home and borrow that have a sample book of each of our 4-H project books, I have with me here at home. So if there's anything you want to look at, just let me know and we can share it with you somehow by email or virtually. If it's just a couple sections of pages, we can maybe share that so kids have something to get started on with their projects, and they can just take their notes on paper and transcribe that into their actual book once they are able to receive those at a later time. This is a list of dates that were canceled, postponed, or we're planning to do virtually now through April 20th. And that was previously shared with you as well. The biggest things I do want to touch on are quality assurance. We had one in-person training for advisors at the end of February. The other was supposed to be scheduled here at the end of March. For those advisors that had already been trained to teach quality assurance, I need you to understand that you cannot teach that virtually. We will have to wait on that. I am planning to save our livestock and animal updates for another Zoom to do with advisors here within the next couple of weeks. A lot of our clubs don't need that information, so I wanted to save time from doing this club update and do that at a later time. So we'll talk more about quality assurance then. There is an online option, and there is a cost to it, and all of those details we will cover at that point. But those that have already been trained for this year to do QA at the club level need to hold off on that until you can have in-person meetings. The other big thing here is our 4-H awards banquet or dessert reception that is planned for April 7th is postponed at this time. We really hope that we can reschedule that in May so that those kids can be recognized for those awards and scholarships as well as trips. Any questions so far on all of that?
Nope, you're still good.
Okay. Here's just a list of all of our contact information. It's not all of us that work at the Extension Office in Fairfield County, but primarily those that you would work with specifically as it relates to 4-H programs. As a note, Missy is on leave until April 9th. So if you have any questions, I know a lot of you reach out to her with regard to 4-H online questions and things like that due to enrollment. Please know that you can reach out to myself or Aubrey between now and then, and we can help you with that information. So that list there, those phone numbers are our direct numbers that you should be able to reach any one of us from our virtual offices at home. So 4-H Advisory Committee, this is something that you can be a part of beyond your club volunteer role, and we are always looking for new members, and that application process comes around right after fair time so that you can start your term in January. And it is a 3-year term, and we certainly rely on advisors to volunteer for that role to help us with some guidance and leadership on some countywide programmings and some other feedback that is important and beneficial for the 4-H program staff in our office. Countywide fundraisers that are going to be ongoing and coming up this year. Nothing really new. So just put these on your radar. There is going to be a vendor sale again this year. It will be in July. The date did have to change compared to what we originally planned due to the Lancaster Fair Festival Day, which is the last Saturday of July. So we will share more information with that through the weekly 4-H news as details get planned. Amazon Smile and the Kroger Community Rewards are 2 programs that are no additional donation out of your pocket, but those businesses actually take a portion of what you spend and donate it back to the 4-H Advisory Committee. The Kroger Community Rewards specifically is earmarked for our County Junior Fair Board when that money comes back to the 4-H Advisory Committee. So be sure to set up, if you shop on Amazon or if you shop at Kroger, set up your Kroger Plus card so that that can happen. And as you can see to date, the advisory committee has benefited from over $500 in donations from Amazon. So that's pretty cool. Lancaster Greenhouse, we work with them to do a spring and fall flower sale. You do need to have a copy of this paper coupon here that's the screenshot there on the right, and take that with you. We'll be putting that on the weekly news as well. And that is still planning to happen as of right now. And that's also additional funds that come back to the county program. The 4-H Endowment Board is a little bit different than Advisory Committee. There is a little bit of representation from advisors on that board, but mostly it's alumni and business leaders in the county. And they are considering funding for long-term planning in the county as opposed to immediate use of dollars to support the program. So this would be in the case if there are ever any shortcomings to budgets with county dollars, state dollars, or federal dollars, which is what supports our extension program as a whole. So we do have an endowment at Ohio State University and with the Fairfield Foundation, and we are basically investing those donations should we ever need them in the future. We are actually benefiting and using the interest money from the OSU principal dollars and using that mostly for supporting the kids going on some of these teen leadership trips for the most part. And that's an annual amount of money that comes back to the program that we can invest in the kids. The biggest thing that the Endowment Board plans is the Legacy Dinner, and that is planned for June 11th. It will be at the fairgrounds once again this year. And we are encouraging all of our clubs to think about donating a basket, a themed basket perhaps. Sherry Kilbarger is a 4-H advisor that serves on Endowment Committee, and she's going to be working directly with the clubs again this year to make sure we have some variety in those baskets and they are not all of the same type of theme. Additionally, they have the awareness breakfast at the fairgrounds. Not a huge moneymaker for them. There is a cost for them to be able to do that, but we think that it's important for others in the community to come out, share in the fellowship of that, and then also get to learn more about what the Endowment Board does for the county. Some ongoing things that are going to continue once again that are easy for clubs to participate in are the Dimes for Endowment, where you can have kids bring dimes that they've collected in between your meetings and donate them at the meeting. And as an advisor, you can collect those. And in September, we will have those turned in. You can convert those dimes into the form of a check and submit that to the Endowment Committee as a way to donate to the endowment. Also, the Pickerington Clovers a few years ago started the Endowment Challenge, which identifies the donation amount to correspond with the year that we are in. So that would be $20.20 for this year. We also have a number of kids that donate from the proceeds of their livestock sale checks at the fair, give back to the 4-H program. So that's another way to help with that long-term investment and getting back to the community. For 2020, we are going to have a 4-H theme once again. I know the last couple years we've defaulted for you guys to choose your own theme as it relates specifically to 4-H booths. But the junior leaders wanted to go with a theme this year, and they have chosen Proud of the Past, Poised for the Future, and that has been supported and approved by the 4-H Advisory Committee. So as you do club banquets and your 4-H booth for the fair, things like that, know that this is a theme that you can start thinking about and planning for with that creativity there. All right, we are going to transition into volunteer resources. A lot of this is review, but we want to make sure annually that we share that these resources are available. Again, a lot of these things are linked in the PowerPoint, and you'll be able to click directly through those links and access those resources. So the Ohio 4-H Volunteer Handbook is on the state website, which is ohio4h.org, and it's linked here, and it has a number of things in there as it relates to what you do as a volunteer. So if you haven't pulled that off or checked that out, I would encourage you to do so. It covers everything from club meeting structure, finances, insurance, club fundraisers, proper use of the 4-H logo, all those types of things. I actually have a I'm not going to switch screens and stuff here, but it's a nice thing for you to just print off and have handy as a 4-H club advisor. It's about 35-ish pages, but it just talks about things that you should and should not be doing as a 4-H club advisor. And I think the financial information is probably beneficial more than anything on that document. And to review to make sure everybody's in line with what they're supposed to be doing there. So the volunteer insurance that we do purchase for all of our OSU Extension volunteers covers you as a 4-H volunteer. If you are doing appropriate things under your job description as a volunteer, and you're doing that, and that keeps you in good standing from loss due to litigation, if there ever was a need for us to pursue that, if there was a legal action taken. So know that we do have that there. It is secondary to your individual personal insurance. There is more information about that in the 4-H volunteer handbook as well. That's on the state website. If you want information on that, just let us know. A reminder of your annual volunteer requirements. So unfortunately, today we are not going to spend time on doing the policy 1.50 training, which is about recognizing and reporting child abuse and neglect. We will be able to hopefully incorporate some review sessions of this and piggyback those to some of our in-person trainings in the months ahead as we start to have more in-person trainings come back around. It is still available through 4-H Online to do the training there. And if any of you work for Ohio State as a faculty, staff, or you're a student, you actually can go into Buckeye Learn and search for this training. Just look for Policy 1.50 and add it to your transcript, work through the training, and at the end you can print a certificate and mail it or email it to Aubrey or myself. So that will work for anybody who is a staff, faculty, or student at Ohio State, and then you don't have to do it through us because it's essentially the same training. You also review annually your standards of behavior, which is part of the 4-H Online re-enrollment process. And this actually goes back to the child abuse training here. Typically, we've tried to hope that everybody has that done by May 1st to kind of coincide with our enrollment deadline, but we will be flexible on that deadline this year, knowing we may not be able to have as many in-person options for you to get that taken care of this year. If any of you have gone to any state trainings as it relates to being a 4-H or extension volunteer, you maybe have already completed this child abuse training, and let us know if you did that this year, because we do get the list back from those state leaders who are conducting that, but we want to make sure that we didn't miss you on that and we can mark it off on your county volunteer records. So, all right, I think that covers that. Background checks, again, those are continuing with the every 4 years. I'll let you read that at your leisure. We'll let you know when it's your time to have that done. The biggest thing is, if it is your time to be getting your background check done, once again, you do need to re-enroll in 4-H Online before your background check can be matched to your profile. So if you are not aware, our 4-H Online system rolls over October 1st, and that's kind of the nationwide time of their calendar. So if you get your background check done after October 1st for the following year, after October 1st is when you would have to re-enroll anytime after that. So here are a list of opportunities where you can become more involved as a volunteer beyond your club level. So you guys can read that at your leisure. Just let us know that we can help you get more involved in those roles. Just reach out to us and we'll let you know what we need from you and what those additional responsibilities may be. If you guys are thinking about adding any new volunteers, our application deadline is always February 1st, and we also prefer that the background check is done at that time too. Sometimes it comes back quickly and sometimes it takes as many as 2 months or more. So having the application and the fingerprints done at the same time really helps keep that moving. All right, additional club resources. So this is about American Income Life. We will share this information with you as well. This is usually a paper that is included in your enrollment packets. And this is something that you can purchase at the club level. And it's basic accident insurance should there be anything that happens at one of your 4-H programs or activities conducted at the club level. It is accident coverage. It does not cover liability. It's secondary to parents and volunteers' personal policies, and the amounts are listed there for those project areas that are a little bit more risky to take, such as horses, ATVs, things like that. Shooting sports as well. You're going to pay a little bit more per member per year. So you can pay an annual fee, or you can also pay it by the event, and it's pretty minimal. Aubrey and I do purchase this for 4-H Day and for Cloverbud Camp, the event insurance. So there's a link to that information. American Income Life has been working with extension and 4-H programs for a long time, offering this as a benefit to them. And they are very easy to work with, and the online form is very easy to fill out. And we hope that you would never have to worry about taking advantage of this benefit, but it does help with some financial liability if there is an accident and a claim is made. Additional club resources. These are our county important pieces, I should say. So the 4-H calendar we have on Google now, as well as a PDF that you can download. We do update that. It's probably not exactly updated right now as we've transitioned to, things being canceled or done virtually here in the last week. And so we will make sure that we continue to update that, be checking back as it, don't download it in January and expect it not to change throughout the year. So just be checking back to make sure you have the most up-to-date version. There's our county website. The club biographies are also a frequently browsed section of the website and a place that we refer a lot of new families to. And I would encourage you guys as advisors to make sure your club biography reads accordingly. And if there's anything that you need changed on it, let us know and we can do that and repost it. We have Instagram and Facebook page that we do use for 4-H social media at the county level. The 4-H page actually is Ohio State dash Fairfield County 4-H. It used to be under this name. I think you can search for either. And make sure your notifications are turned on as we post things so you do see them and can share them as it might relate to how you communicate with your club members. A lot of things are shared there from other Facebook events and pages that we may or may not also include on the weekly news. So that's another resource for you. If any of you have social media accounts that you use to communicate with your clubs, let Aubrey and I know about those. And if you can, send us a link so that we can join or follow that. We're not here to keep an eye on things, but what it is beneficial for is we can share things much more quickly and directly to those that we know about having club pages or groups. I think Aubrey and I probably follow maybe less than 6 to 8. And I know there's a lot more of you that are utilizing things like that. And it's just really easy for us to share information if we can just hit that share button from when we post it initially right to your club page or group so that your families can see that. There are social media guidelines for clubs. And there's a link for that there if you can take some time to review that if you haven't already done so. Additional resources, different links for some of our animal state pages with regard to the 4-H program. So if you have anyone that is interested in doing more with any of those types of projects, there are links to those resources. And I think as a 4-H advisor, that first link there on the top for resources, policies, and procedures is extremely beneficial to review to see if there's anything that's been updated or changed any given year, or maybe there's something new that you can learn as a volunteer that you didn't know about previously. This slide, the next couple slides actually share Cloverbud resources for the county. There is curriculum that is available as well as resources on the state website. Our countywide activities are listed here, and the only thing that I forgot to list here that I need to add before we send this to you is we are also going to be doing the Cloverbud graduation at the fair on Sunday with those other activities that are listed there. And that went really well last year, having the junior leaders provide leadership for that. The biggest thing also to point out here is that the Easter egg hunt that the junior leaders were planning to do here at the end of the month has been canceled. So please share that information if you have Cloverbuds that has been canceled. State opportunity for Cloverbuds is the Cloverbot Challenge, and that's coming up June 13th. So your clubs do need to register for that if you want to take some kids to that. That is due May 1st. As far as we know, that is still planning to happen. That link or that information is linked there at the top. So if you have an interest in that, you can click through that when you receive this to get more information. If any of you are having food at your meetings, you should, as advisors, be doing the occasional quantity cooks training, which is good for 3 years. And it is an online certification, and it is conducted by OSU Extension. And the link will be included here, as you can see in that last sentence there on this slide. And this is something that really covers you as a volunteer, you know, as a way to review food safety guidelines and procedures. Even if you have packaged food at your meetings, this is a good thing for you guys to do. All right, so club requirements, and this actually refers to a lot of things that, as you recall, would be in your club folders that you unfortunately are not going to be using this year because you cannot pick them up from us at this point. And we will be sharing all of that electronically. So one thing is the charter checklist, and that is just an annual thing that we have you turn in with your enrollment packets by May 1st. As a reminder, your financial summaries are due by January 31st from the previous year, I should say. And we are still waiting on 4 clubs to turn those in, and we will continue to bug you about that until you get those in, because that is a state requirement to get those turned in. Club constitutions, we do have a copy of everybody's there on file, except the one new club that is joining us this year. And if you have or need a copy of it, I should say, let us know and we can send that back to you. It is good for your club to review that annually to see if anything needs to be changed in your bylaws. You really should not be changing anything in your constitution, because it's more or less a template from the state that we just, populate county and club names into, and the bylaws are what are more specific to your club and are easier to change should you need to make changes. All right, so with regard to ages and grades, and I know sometimes this is confusing for some, in 2018, the language on the traditional or project member changed a little bit, and it's still listed here on the slide. Hopefully it is clear, but if you have any kids that you are questioning about their age and grade, let us know, and we can talk through with you depending on what their situation may be. But essentially for Cloverbuds, they have to be 5 and in kindergarten as of January 1st. In order to have a Cloverbud club attached to your traditional club, you do need to have 3 members, and they can all be from the same family. We do want to have 1 advisor per club identified as the Cloverbud advisor. If you have not done Cloverbuds in the past and would like to add them for this year, please let us know. It's not that difficult to add Cloverbuds as a club because they're attached to your traditional club. They don't have their own bank accounts. They do not have their own EIN numbers. They are basically part of your traditional club. For those that are eligible to take projects, for 8-year-olds, they must be in 3rd grade and age 8 as of January 1st. The change a couple years ago actually affected those kids who are 9 as of January 1st, and they can actually be in any grade as of January 1st, as long as they are age 9. That helps those, it basically addressed a number of requests that the state office was receiving on kids who maybe were held back a year due to learning disabilities or other developmental disabilities. And they wanted to keep them moving forward with their 4-H membership. And so as long as they're 9 as of January 1st and in any grade, they can join 4-H. I know the 8-year-olds are frustrated by that, but they have to be in the 3rd grade to start. So for traditional project membership, you must have 5 members from 3 different families. If some of you are not sure where you are going to be with the number of members in your club, Aubrey placed 315 new 4-H kids into clubs as a result of 4-H Day this month, and through our 4-H interest survey, where we've been collecting contact information for the past year. And so she is going to be sending that to you here by the end of the week so that you have their contact information. When you receive your list of prospective members, please note that those families maybe were shared club contact information of more than 1 club so that we could give them options and they can figure out which club is the best fit for their families. So sometimes that boils down to when is your meetings, or what is your meeting schedule, and is that going to fit for them or not, and going that direction. Additionally, if you have anybody that's on that list, and as you're talking to those families, And I want you to realize that in a lot of cases, those families are what we would consider first generation 4-H families, and parents have no previous knowledge of 4-H and don't understand how this club work and project work stuff happens. And sometimes they think that they need to be in a club for this, a club for that, and they try to join like 2 or 3 clubs, and that is really not an ideal thing for a first generation 4-H family, because it almost becomes a bigger project than they ever anticipated. And then they also have to go to meetings to 2 to 3 clubs. And we would rather them make a commitment to one project, one club, have a good first year, and then have them maybe consider more the second year after they figured all the basics out. So if you have any questions on how to communicate with those that are going to be on that prospect 4-H member list, let us know. And if you are looking to add members to your club because you're really close to that minimum of 5, let us know. Some of you have already told us that, and hopefully we're sending enough kids your way so that you can grow your 4-H club in that way. The meeting attendance is that, we ask that you plan for 8 meetings in a project year. Our project year is actually through December, and I think a lot of times the misconception is that it's up through fair time. So especially with having to maybe think about virtual meetings right now and how your meeting structure might look, think about how you can plan meetings even after the fair. The members need to attend 3/4 of the meetings that you hold. So if you hold a minimum of 8, they should be attending 6 out of the 8 for the year. And depending on how your schedule looks, know that you do have the ability to call us and let us know that you might have kids that are not in good standing with the club because they have not been showing up, they have not been communicating. Just because they maybe made a fair entry, but they haven't shown up to anything, doesn't mean that they are going to have acceptance into the fair. I've had a couple calls the last couple years from advisors who have not seen members, and they think that they're going to be going to the fair, and then they didn't show up to those 2 to 3 meetings that maybe happened between fair entries being collected and fair entries being turned in. And so they assume, well, I'm good to go. My fair entries are in. I can show at the fair. We have the ability to reject their fair entries if they have not met your club requirements. So just make sure you're keeping track of attendance and you're documenting different things like that. And it matches to what your club bylaws and constitution state. And Aubrey and I will have your back on that as long as you've done things in order to track that. And at that point, they technically are not a member in good standing, and they must be a member in good standing with the 4-H club and countywide program to be able to even show at the fair. So know that we're there to help you, support you in that way if needed. All 4-H traditional members taking projects are required to complete a 4-H project each year and have a book for each project. That also applies to livestock projects. As I mentioned before, we're not going to spend a lot of time talking about livestock and quality assurance type things today. We'll do that here on another Zoom call within the next couple of weeks. But we will be having skill-a-thons in September for all of those animal projects at the fair, with the exception of anything that shows at the companion animal show. Those kids will not be doing skill-a-thon. So those kids that are doing skill-a-thon do need to bring their books with them. So please make sure they are planning on completing those books, because we will be expecting them to bring them to the skill-a-thon day in September. Cloverbuds, again, are not project-based, but more activity-centered, and they do need to enroll in a project number, even though they are not necessarily receiving a project book. And for Cloverbuds, they should be enrolling in 710 is the project number. If you have a horse club that has Cloverbuds, you need to be enrolling them in, actually, let me start over. If it is just a Cloverbud club with no horses, it's 710 GPM. If you do have a horse Cloverbud club, it's 710 HC. Correct, Aubrey?
Correct.
Okay. And again, countywide dues do not apply to Cloverbuds. They are only for our traditional members. The next few things here are with regard to club finances. And these are just reminders that we're going to share with you each year. I'm not going to talk through them, but they're there as a resource. I will point out here that if, as you plan your club fundraising, you do need to have a purpose for why you are doing fundraising and how those dollars are going to be spent to benefit the club program, and it should be for educational programs and activities. There should not be any raffle or game of chance as an option for fundraising. That is not allowed, and that is a national 4-H policy that you cannot conduct raffles or games of chance as it relates to 4-H club fundraising. We really encourage all of our 4-H clubs. There are a handful of you out there that still are not up to speed on this, but it is strongly, strongly, strongly encouraged that you have a checking or saving account set up in your club's name under your club's EIN number and not your personal social security number. If you need help setting that up, let us know in the office and we can help find a club or a bank for you that has been a little easier to work with as it relates to opening up accounts for organizations where there are not fees or additional hassles to work through and things like that. And the other things on this slide mention, some checks and balances to protect you as an advisor and how you should have multiple individuals as signers on the account, whoever is in possession of maybe the checkbook, the second person then would be the one receiving the bank statements so that they could review those so that it's not all in one person's hands. So do that. And do what you can so that it protects you as a volunteer and that, there's that checks and balances there. Anything that you spend with club funds, as we know that most club treasuries probably have adults that are on the actual checking accounts as opposed to the kids at these, and it's probably rare that you are able to put kids on any of the club checking accounts. Please make sure that any of your club's expenditures are approved at your club meetings before any money is spent. Maybe that's by setting up a budget in advance that the club approves at the beginning of the year, or a motion is made and documented at a given meeting. The biggest thing is making sure that you have your kids serving as secretaries and treasurers, keeping accurate records to document all of those things, and helping the kids understand why you as the adult helping with the treasury and them as the treasurers and the secretaries help keep a paper trail with regard to receipts and invoices and how they track all of your financial records. If you are taking in any money of any kind, I strongly encourage you to have a receipt book. Just go get a cheap one from the dollar store or from Walmart and keep a list and give people receipts for any money that they give you and why they are giving it to you and what the purpose of that is so that you can track that. We've already covered that. Your e-postcards, we will be filing once again in the extension office, and those are due by May 15th. And should your club ever get to the point where you're not sure if it'll continue and you might be thinking about disbanding, please call the office. There are certain things that need to be done, primarily on the financial side, because the money, the biggest thing is the money cannot be distributed evenly and given back to the kids in the form of cash. There are certain guidelines that need to be followed on what those dollars can be used for moving forward and how to close the accounts and things like that. If you get to the point where there might be some transition with the adult leadership with the club, think about other parents that you might be able to call upon to maybe help transition the club so that it doesn't have to disband and that it can continue to move forward even if you need to take a step back from maybe having that organizational role or leadership role as a volunteer. The biggest thing as a reminder for financials as it relates to clubs is that you cannot have a credit card or a debit card of any kind as it relates to 4-H clubs and affiliates. This is a state rule and it just needs to be followed. If we find that your clubs are using these and you're not supposed to be using these, that puts your entire club in this position of not being in good standing with the county 4-H program, and we don't want that to happen. So I know banks and will try to offer these to you, but you do need to decline that and do the old-fashioned checkbook registry and check route to manage club funds. Food handling, we touched on this earlier with regard to the occasional quantity cooks. Should you ever have any type of event where you are handling food and perhaps selling it as a fundraiser, we do need you to check out these resources that are on our website under Club Advisor Resources. You will need to be contacting the health department to get a day license. There is a little bit of time that you need to be doing that in advance. And again, all that information is on our fairfield.osu.edu website under Club Advisor Resources, where you can review that and figure out what you need to do. The 4-H emblem, just reminding you that there is proper usage of the logo, and we do need you to get permission to use it. If you are having anything made as far as like shirts, apparel, other things like that, Aubrey and I have the authority at the county level to approve those vendors to use the logo properly, and we help make sure they get the information and understand how to use the logo properly. The biggest thing is that they are doing it for you guys to be used at a club level, and it's not to be sold for profit. If things are going to be used as a club fundraiser with the 4-H logo on it, you definitely need to have that conversation with us. Especially if it is a fundraiser that is being promoted beyond your membership and in the community and things like that. We need to have a conversation about that because there are certain guidelines that we need to follow. So I'm going to just keep it summed up at that point, and you can review it there in the 4-H volunteer handbook if you have additional questions, or you can call us and we can have a discussion about it. Club officer resources. There are new resources available. We just learned about these within the last couple weeks, and we don't have these yet on our website, but know that we are not planning to have a county officer training this year, and these club officer resources that we will be having on our website hopefully will be very beneficial to you to share with your officers. Especially with us having maybe a little downtime right now with not being able to have club meetings, pushing your officers to check out these resources to help them understand what their roles and responsibilities are in those leadership positions would be a great thing. As a reminder, we are continuing with having the secretary and treasurer's book contests once again this year. That is cash prizes for kids who participate and do well with that. Books are due right after the fair at the end of October to our office, and we'll award those at the advisors banquet, which will be in the fall. And all of that is due to our sponsors, which are the family of Robert Hillman and the Friendly Bremen Banking Center. They helped sponsor those cash prizes for the kids. So that's kind of something fun for them, hopefully, to participate in. And I need you guys to help encourage them to do that, because there are, in some cases, some years where some of that cash is not awarded because we don't have that many books turned in. So please encourage your kids to fill out those. 4-H club officer books are on our website under the club officer resources. So know that you can pull those and print those off, especially for those officers where they have a little bit more record keeping. A printed version of that probably would certainly be more helpful for them to use. All right, questions, check-in point for questions. Aubrey?
So far, nothing.
You guys are easy compared to the night. All right, so moving into project selection. Again, I mentioned earlier that I have all the binders that have a sample copy of each book with me here at home. So if there's anyone that you need to maybe see a little bit more closely or help kids with selection of projects right now, let me know and we can figure out a way to share that. Also, a really cool website that Ohio 4-H has, which will be really helpful doing things virtually right now with project selection, is the Project Central website. And there is the link to that website, and you can search by keywords, skill level. You can figure out whether or not projects are eligible for state fair or not. The newer projects have sample pages that you can click on and check out. It's a really cool website. Also, along with that, any projects that your members have taken previously, they can go in and add a rating and give feedback on how they enjoyed the project, or maybe there's suggestions that they have for it. And that is really helpful at the state level as they look at curriculum review and things like that, should any of those books need to be updated in the future. The 4-H member handbook and 4-H project guidelines, those were combined in that yellow spiral bound book last year. We are not printing those as of right now, but it will be posted on our website under the 4-H tab with regard to member and advisor resources. And that is more county specific information with regard to what's judged on what day for summer judging and other county requirements. The project guidelines are helpful so everybody knows kind of what is expected and required to prepare for summer judging, or the livestock projects are also in there as it relates to fairs. So that will be posted online. If we get to the point where we are able to distribute books maybe here at the end of the month, fingers crossed on that, we will be considering printing these on an as needed basis for your club members if you need them at that point. So just let us know. The family guides, we do have probably 1,500 of those sitting at the office right now. So those are available too when we get back to the point of distributing books. But know that that is that newsprint family guide that has the projects listed in it as well. And that is available online, and it's linked here on this slide for people to look at. The one thing that I will point out on this slide as it relates to project selection, our county only projects are only going to be found in our county 4-H member handbook and project guidelines. You will not find those in the family guide. You will not find those county only projects on Project Central, because those are obviously for just our Fairfield County folks. If you have questions about those projects specifically, let us know. It basically includes the alfalfa and hay, pie making, candy making. I think that's about it. Am I forgetting something? Aubrey, from memory, on county only projects?
No, I think those are the only ones.
Okay. Also, as they are adding those projects to their 4-H enrollment, they have to look for the COP, and they would be at the bottom of the drop-down list, and they have to make sure they hit save when they add their projects in 4-H online. But they're numbered kind of out of sequence because they're county only projects and they're at the bottom of the drop-down list, so you can find them. All right, so with regard to 4-H publications with revisions, updates, and things like that, not too many changes this year. This is what the family guide looks like. That'll be available as an online resource. When you flip open the first page of it, it's going to give you the new or revised projects, and those are outlined here on these next few slides. These 3 projects here are probably the most important ones for you guys, I guess, to be notified about. So any kids that are interested in citizenship or international type things, there is this new project called 4-H Around the Globe that they could take. It is eligible for state fair, more of an intermediate type level project, but know that that is a brand new a book. There are 2 new self-determined projects. One is on camp counseling and one is on string art. And those are also eligible for state fair, any level of experience that can be taken on either of those. A lot of times these specifically listed self-determined projects like this, if there seems to be a lot of popularity on enrollment with it, they will pursue doing a 4-H project book in the future with some of those. These 3 books you will see listed in the family guide as new books for the shooting sports program. You notice that they're a 700 level project, and that is unique to those projects that need to be taught by a certified shooting sports instructor, and kids must be 9 as of January 1st. There's no flexibility on that. So again, they are state fair eligible. Kids cannot take these 3 projects in your clubs. they have to be in the Fairfield County Shooting Sports Club, and they've already done their enrollment for the year. So know that they cannot enroll in these and take these projects. We hide them on the drop-down list of projects, so you should not be able to find them when your kids go to enroll once we get all the Shooting Sports Club kids enrolled and past their enrollment period. This is another 700 level new project that would be incorporated into the shooting sports program once we get an instructor for that. So again, it's a new thing that you'll see there listed in the family guide, but it is not something that you guys would be able to offer at the club level. The ag career cards are not directly project related. It's more of a resource that relates to one of our school programs that we do. It's a supplemental resource that goes with the Real Money, Real World program. So if you guys ever have any interest in doing any kind of ag careers or financial literacy type programs in your clubs, let us know. The Real Money, Real World program is something Shannon currently does in a lot of the Fairfield County schools as it is. And this is just an additional resource that goes with that now that's available across the state. Again, there's that link to the Project Central website, and there's the home page so you can see how you can search by keyword, title of the book, skill level, or by topic area. So a really cool resource. All right, the next few slides, I'm not going to go into much detail. A lot of the 4-H animal books are transitioning as they get updated to sharing a book because it's more of a record book type of thing. And so they enroll in the project number plus the letter notation as it relates to what they wish to take to the fair. So these next few slides for poultry and goats identify how kids should be enrolling in projects for those areas. They do share one record book for all of those poultry projects listed here. And you cannot enroll in just Project 150. You have to decide, am I doing exhibition chickens, market chickens, egg production, ducks, geese, so on and so forth. And they have to enroll in each of those projects for whatever they wish to take. And so again, they share one record book for all of those things listed there. If you see that they are coded with having the same number and having those different letter notations afterwards, that's to let you guys know, helping with your book orders, that it is one shared book for all of those projects. And if you have questions about that, let us know. We still do not have a poultry resource book, but there are some resources listed on the state website there, and there is the link for that. As I mentioned before, goats share a record book as well. And here's how they need to enroll based on how they wish to show at the fair. So I'm gonna just click through that. All right. Moving into enrollments, we are continuing to do those through 4-H Online this year at the family level. So we are in good shape at this point, allowing families to do that electronically themselves. And we are currently going to still stick with our May 1st deadline. And if you guys find that things are becoming challenging and we can't make that happen, let us know. And we might have the flexibility to adjust that. That is a county decision. Aubrey and I will discuss, and we will determine if that needs to happen. The biggest thing is, because people can enroll electronically and at their leisure from home, without meeting you in person, they should be able to get that 4-H online stuff done. I think what might become more of a challenge is getting all of those forms that are due May 1st collected and turned in. So we will work through that process with you as needed, but really push with your families that those dates are still going to stay as May 1st. The link to 4-H online is there. If you forget what the link is, it is also posted on our website. If you go to Google it, do not just type 4-H online in. You need to put Ohio 4-H online in, so it takes you to the right homepage, or you might have troubles getting signed in because it doesn't recognize that you're part of Ohio 4-H. So please make sure you do that if you happen to Google it. There are resources and training materials on our website. Missy has identified and put together a tab under the 4-H page where you can access 4-H enrollment resources. And there's also a page in the 4-H member handbook where families can work through that on a step-by-step process, whether they are returning and re-enrolling, or they're brand new families. And again, all members, including Cloverbuds and you guys as volunteers, have to be enrolled. Again, since we're doing all of this virtually this morning, you will not be getting your club folders, and we will be sending this hopefully by the end of the day tomorrow to you virtually by email. It's going to be a big email, I'm not going to lie. We're going to try to share links with these types of things that were typically in your folders. There's some resources also that the state office is sharing that they've put together for helping 4-H advisors through this virtual transition to keep the 4-H club year rolling without being able to have in-person meetings at this time. And so all of that we are going to package and put into an email and send to you by the end of the day tomorrow. So here's just a reminder of the things that are due May 1st. There's a couple reports that you can run after you enroll yourself. First of all, you have advisor resources in 4-H Online. And one thing that is probably going to be helpful to get started is running the family email list. And that identifies the email address that your families have created their 4-H Online profiles with. And that's what they need to use when they initially log into 4-H Online. If they forgot their password, that's okay. What they probably need to know from you is what email address did I use to sign on, and they need to, you can give that to them, have them sign in and have them choose the forgot my password option, and they can reset that and then access 4-H Online so they can continue on with their enrollment. The other thing in 4-H Online that you can run as a report as you work through your enrollments is the fees paid report. And that is helpful so you can keep track of who's paying dues in your club or who's paying dues in another club. So when we get to the point where advisory committee is doing their invoicing on dues, you have a good record of that based on who has enrolled in your club. You will need to run that report after you know everybody in your club has enrolled for the year, or they are not going to show up on your report. Okay. The items that were typically in your folders that we are going to send by email, and these are the things that need turned back into us. We will have you send those to Missy, even though she's on leave right now. She will be back, you know, soon, and probably closer to that time when you have things collected and ready to go anyways. You can email those to her. You can mail them to our office. Maybe and hopefully by that point in time, we'll all be back in the office anyways, and maybe you can bring them into us. So just stay tuned on all of that as it relates to us being there physically or being available virtually. So the enrollment checklist is one item. There's a club information sheet, and there's a separate one for the traditional club and then Cloverbuds. The fees paid report we would like you to print off and include in that so that we know who's paying in your club and who's not. The club charter checklist, and then any kids that need to fill out the 4-H cross-county line forms that do not currently live in Fairfield County but are wishing to apply for membership here. The sooner you get those to us, the better. And the reason for that is the guidelines have changed here recently in the last, I guess, less than 2 years. And some counties are a little bit more critical on what they are accepting as a cross-county lines application form. So those that wish to be in 4-H in a county they do not live in have to have the educators from the county they live in and the county they wish to join 4-H in both agree and sign off on the form. And there are some cases sometimes that does not get approved. So make sure if you have any kids that fall into that boat, get that form to us sooner than later so that we can approve that and send it to the other county. Make sure the reason that they have on their form matches that which is acceptable on those guidelines that are listed in the member handbook. That will only help them have their form get through the approval process quicker. Things that are on there that mention fair or because of a livestock sale or because I have a family member who's just always done Fairfield County 4-H, that's why I need to join 4-H. Those are not reasons that are going to be acceptable. And so if you have any questions about that, let Aubrey and I know, and we can help you through that. And again, they are each considered on a case-by-case basis, but the better explanation you have on there on why they want to join Fairfield County 4-H, the better. and we'll just go from there. So those are the things that'll be due back to us that were typically in your enrollment folders. That cross county lines form is only done once in the lifetime of a child being a member. And if they happen to move or something's changed with where they live, it is not a bad idea for them to do that form again, just so we have an updated copy of it if they happen to bring that up and mention that to you. Let's see, we talked about this on the last slide. It will be a section of pages there in the member handbook. Again, and it does not have to be filled out annually. It's only for kids that are new members or if they've had a change of address or something like that. Other reminders for forms that are due May 1st, and these will be paper. These were typically paper copies in the member handbooks. They are still included in the member handbook, and you'll see that when you download the member handbook electronically, and you can print them from there. We will have, they're not done yet, but we are going to work on getting those individual forms pulled out of the member handbook and making them writable PDFs to make that a little bit easier for families to complete and hopefully get turned in by May 1st. So that's the list of forms there. All of those were the same as last year, and all were included in the member handbook. So we'll post all of them as we get them updated under the May section of the Club Advisor Resources. Other forms that will be due in the future are listed here. The one that I'm going to specifically point out is something that we've included in the member handbook the last year or so, is something called the 4-H winning plan. And this is for any kids in your club that may have some type of disability, and it could be social, emotional, developmentally, physical, anything that might make it a challenge for them to conduct 4-H club work, coming to camp, coming to summer judging, doing skill-a-thons, anything with regard to county fair judging. And these are not IEPs, as we are familiar with those with schools. We do not require IEPs, and kids do not have to have an IEP to turn in a 4-H winning plan. So the 4-H winning plan basically gives us a heads up to what the child may be challenged with, and the parent helps give us ideas as advisors and as 4-H educators on how we can help them have a meaningful and enjoyable experience as a 4-H participant. And it might address, accommodations at the club level, at summer judging, at camp, and at the county fair. And we follow up with each family on how we can help them have that experience. We actually had a 4-H member last year that did not have a winning plan filled out at summer judging, and one of our judges picked up on that she was deaf, and we did not know that, and she only picked up on it because she had worked with special needs as a school teacher, and she learned how she needed to communicate and look at her when she spoke with her, so that because she was reading lips. And so if you have kids that are like that, and it's not for them to be pointed out by having some type of disability, we just want to help them have a nice experience when it comes to judging, aside from whatever their challenge is. And their parents can fill this form out on their behalf. The child doesn't even need to know about it, and it truly can make their 4-H experience, especially when it comes to judging, much more enjoyable if we could just be a little bit more accommodating. And that helps us talk with our judges so that they are more understanding too if we have kids that have different challenges that they're dealing with and working through. So there is a lot more detail about the 4-H winning plan, and we've included those as individual pages in the members handbook. It will be in the May section of the advisor resources on the website as well. The winning plan should be something that families complete annually, because we understand that things could change as it may relate to those developmental disabilities or physical disabilities or whatever it might be. So it's good to review that annually and provide updates and how we can help accommodate. Does anybody have any questions on that or anything we've covered so far?
We don't have anything in the chat right now.
Okay, we'll keep moving then. Here are some additional forms that you will be finding on advisor resources. Again, with skill-a-thons, that is going to apply to all livestock that comes to the fair, dogs, horses, llamas, and alpacas. We are going to talk more about skillathons in an upcoming Zoom because we know not all of you have animals in your clubs. So we didn't want to spend extra time on that today, but that will be a new form that is available for kids. It is the waiver part of it is if kids want to do skillathon at the state fair, it waives them out of the county requirement. That way they can still show at the county fair. So that's kind of the basic idea of that. And we'll cover that in more detail at a later time, but that's a form that actually will be in the member handbook as well. The Ohio 4-H Health Form is a resource to you as advisors that you can have your members fill out. You can collect those, you keep those at the club level, make sure you keep those in a confidential place, and you can resource them if you ever need to, should something happen at a club and you have that information about a child. I think that's really helpful if you have food at meetings and you might have kids that with allergies, their parents can note that on those health forms and just let them know that you're going to keep those as an organizational advisor and they'll be kept confidential and things like that. The housing form is in regard to animals for any that are housed off site of the location which the child resides. Those are due at different times depending on the species and their possession dates. So that'll be in the member handbook as well. And we also have all those possession dates in the junior fair book. And that form will also be on the website for kids that need to turn that in. Those forms actually are due to the senior fair office. Everything else we've talked about so far is due to the extension office, but these housing forms are due specifically to the senior fair office. Countywide dues are $5 per member once again this year, and they're paid only once in one club, no matter how many clubs a child may be in. And again, Cloverbuds do not have to pay. If you pay after July 1st, you will be charged $8 per member, which includes a late fee. And those dues are paid to the 4-H Advisory Committee. Here are some resources that you should point out to your families, especially if you're communicating with them virtually or by email right now to get ready for the 4-H club year. These are very good resources to share with them as a starting point, and more local resources, I guess I should say, and point out. The one that I added here, and this was not on the slide last night, but it will be in the copy that is sent out moving forward, is for any of you that have swine exhibitors in taking swine projects in your club or at the state fair. They really, really need to check out this website that's listed here for swine exhibitors. And it says no pay lien, and it's actually with regard to the ractopamine ban for our county fair as well as the state fair. And this is just a website that Stan Smith in our office has put together to kind of consolidate resources and references on what that means and how it affects those kids taking swine projects. There's videos that are shared there. If you have any questions about that, let us know. We will share information as we can, but this is extremely important for them to review before they do project selection, in my opinion, and especially before they go out and start buying pigs. So make sure that they check that out, and it might require a little bit more hand-holding to make sure that your kids taking pigs are reviewing that, but please make sure they do so. It's extremely important. All right, we're going to switch gears and talk about camp, which is a little bit more fun to talk about. We will not be having a camp roundup this year, but all of our camps are continuing as planned as of right now. We did up the cost of camp just a bit on junior, intermediate, and Cloverbud, and that is to accommodate for the tie-dye expense. Nearly 80 to 90% of our campers were bringing tie-dye shirts and money to do tie-dye when they would come to camp. And we were collecting that when we got to camp, and it is just easier to build that into the camp fees and do it across the board. So every kid coming to intermediate, junior, Cloverbud camp will be tie-dyeing this year. The prices listed there are full price. We have the Bertha Wilson Camp Scholarships available for all of our camps and campers in Fairfield County this year, which is really exciting and a one-of-a-kind opportunity. I don't know that any county in the state has the same resource as we do. I mean, it's basically a gift of almost $20,000 to help send these kids to camp and save money on the family's part. So it's really an incredible thing. The cost of camp is half the cost, assuming that kids are registered before June 1st. So to take advantage of that scholarship, they have to be registered by June 1st. Our online registration, did you hear? We are going to have online camp registration. That is new for this year. And it is going to open on May 1st. And that will allow families to pay by credit card. We will also take registrations in the office, and our office staff will actually take care of putting all of the information in the online registration form for you if needed. That will help us also better track sequence of how registrations come in, because we do have a number of beds that we can fill based on number of counselors that we take to camp and what we have left. So if we sell out of beds or space for any given camp, then we have that waiting list that we can start because we know how the sequence of registrations have come in. Let's see. With regard to the camp registration, campers can choose one person for junior and intermediate camps to be a buddy that they can be placed in a cabin with. That has to be turned in, assuming that their registration is done by June 1st. Any registrations after June 1st will have a late fee. They will not be able to take advantage of the Bertha Wilson Scholarship. And our final close date on any given camp is the 2 weeks prior to any of those camp start dates. That way it gives us time to get supplies and food ordered and things like that. And again, camp registrations are closed when we have spots that are sold out, and we will put a waiting list together if needed on some of those. And we usually don't have more than a few on a wait list. So, all right. Oh, I should point out there on the top, it says no refunds, substitutions, or cancellations. So that has always been our policy. So we know this year could be different, not knowing what our situation with the coronavirus might look like in the upcoming weeks. So Aubrey and I will keep that in mind as it relates to moving forward with camp planning and camp fees and such, not just with regard to the Tar Hollow and Cloverbud camps, but also with regard to any of those teens who were awarded trips by filling out the Junior Achievement or Ohio 4-H Achievement forms. We know that a lot of them have turned in their deposits already, and we're assuming those trips are going to continue as planned. And we'll do what we can if they do get canceled to get everybody's money refunded. But we're just kind of in this holding pattern right now and hoping things turn around so things can get back to our way of knowing what normal is. So Cloverbud camp is June 6th. Here's all the information for that. Again, that is specifically for Cloverbud aged members. Intermediate camp dates are here. The ages are of January 1st on both intermediate and junior camps. If you have any questions about ages of campers and which camp to go to, you need to direct those to Aubrey, and she will work through those with those families specifically. Junior camp dates are there. Teen camp is continuing at Tar Hollow. It is July 5th and 6th, and kids attending that can also take advantage of the Bertha Wilson Camp Scholarship that we have here specifically for Fairfield County kids. And this is for anyone that is age 14 to 18 and they have already finished the 9th through the 12th grades. Further details will be shared at a later point in time on that with regard to schedule and arrival and dismissal. These next few slides talk about youth opportunities, and I think that more can be done at the club level to share information about teen opportunities that are available to kids, and then not only just for teens, but there are some speaking opportunities that kids can get involved in, and that's one of the first things that's coming up here in June. Even Cloverbuds can participate. So Cloverbuds can participate in the pledge, and 4-Hers can do the CREED or the Health and Safety Speaking Contest. We do need you to register by calling the office by June 1st, and our county contest is June 10th. Aside from the pledge and CREED, any of those kids that do well with the health and safety actually can go on to the district contest and also the state fair and participate in that way. That is something they can do that is unattached to any of their 4-H projects, And there are different guidelines that do go with the health and safety speaking contest, and I can share that with you for you to share with your clubs. Likewise, the demonstration contest is unrelated to a 4-H project enrollment, but it can be related to any 4-H projects they have taken. Registration in our county is July 1st, and our actual contest is July 14th, which actually falls during summer judging week. There are tons of options on demonstrations, and that is a great way for kids to actually go on and participate at the state fair. And even for kids that might not take summer judging projects, this is a great way for them to do something in the summer and still have an opportunity to go to state fair and do something there. Almost always the kids that do our demonstration and health and safety contests in Fairfield County almost always go to the state fair. So encourage participation there. We'll send you details in the upcoming months on both of those things. Achievement forms, we have a junior achievement form and the Ohio 4-H achievement form are great ways for kids to start tracking their 4-H accomplishments and experiences. This really does help them prepare for adulthood and reflecting on what they have done as a 4-H'er. And it also opens the door to so many opportunities that we have available here in Fairfield County. And a lot of counties don't have these same opportunities. So we are very fortunate to be able to have trip sponsors and scholarships and things like that available to our county 4-H members. And it certainly helps for them to start keeping track of those records at a young age, even after they've completed their first year in 4-H. And they can do so by completing that junior achievement form. For both those that have filled out junior achievement forms, as well as the Ohio 4-H achievement form or any of the county scholarship forms, that achievement banquet is postponed, as I mentioned at the start of this. Another way for kids to participate is through judging teams and other contests. The meat judging team that has currently been practicing, obviously their practices are on hold. I really hope that things turn around so they can have their state contest in April, but we have not heard officially on whether or not that has been canceled because it falls after the April 20th date. So I think we're just kind of waiting to see if that happens or not. But if you have kids that are interested in meat judging or any of those livestock judging type things, let us know and we'll help them get connected to the right adult volunteer helping with those. Some of them meet in the off season, much like the meat judging team. They kind of start in January. So it's good for us to have a contact list of kids that are interested so we can let them know and they don't miss out. There are international opportunities to travel or to host international folks with the 4-H program. However, as you can imagine, considering the world around us right now, all of that is on hold for 2020. But know that that is an option to share with your families in the future. So for anybody that wants more information on these youth opportunities and how kids can get involved, we do a workshop in December to help with the actual forms and how to complete forms and what opportunities are available. But please know that any time that you might want to have me or even Aubrey come out to your club meetings and talk about any of this, we are happy to do so. And sometimes even finding some of our team leaders who have been successful and had lots of opportunities come out and talk to your club meetings. They can certainly come in and serve as a guest speaker. And I think that might really encourage some of your 4-Hers to think about filling out these forms and tracking their accomplishments. It really prepares them for filling out job resumes, scholarships, college applications, things like that, that for some might be 10 years down the road, but parents will be thankful that they have been tracking this at a later point in time when they get down to having to fill those things out. All right, outstanding 4-Hers, that is to recognize our Fairfield County seniors who have completed the Ohio 4-H achievement form. They have to have that turned in already for this year to be considered for that award for 2020. They will get an updated form that they'll have to turn in to us by August 15th, and that will supplement what they've already turned in with their 2020 achievement form. And those that have reached enough points on those forms will be recognized as outstanding 4-Hers at the Panorama at Fair. And here are some county opportunities, state opportunities. I'm going to just put a plug in for junior leaders. Any kids that turn 13 at any point in the year can start coming to junior leaders, and they focus on service and leadership type things. They don't actually take projects like they do in the club level. So that's just a very introductory way for them to start getting involved at the county level and take on some leadership and service type things. Here's just a list of the numerous opportunities that our kids have available to them just because of filling out those award forms, and by all means share all that with your members as well. With regard to National 4-H Congress, Fairfield County is extremely lucky to have 7 state winners on the state 4-H achievement forms this year who will get invited to go to National 4-H Congress this fall in Atlanta, Georgia, and that's the largest number of kids I've had since I've been here. So I'm pretty excited about that. And there are only like 25, 26 spots that Ohio has for state achievement award winners, and we have 7 of those, which I think is pretty cool. So Fairfield County has a long-standing tradition of being successful with award forms. So we have a lot of resources throughout the county to help your kids get started in this, even if it's something nobody in your club has ever done. We have people here that can help you with that. Summer judging, really, other than the dates being a little bit later than what they've been maybe last year and the year prior, things pretty much are staying the same. All these dates are identified in the 4-H member handbook and in the 4-H project guidelines. And then we also have kept that late judging date, which will be by appointment only on July 28th. Those kids that do late judging are not eligible for state fair consideration or for county awards, but they can have their project complete, and they do get a letter grade by participating there. We will be doing the online scheduling, which is in one of these slides right here. So that has worked very, very well. And if kids do not get scheduled for summer judging because they forgot to schedule a time, please push them and have them come to judging. There are often open time slots as long as they're patient and can wait a few minutes till we have a judge for that project area available to judge them. Please send them to judging. The last couple of years since we've started the online scheduling, people think, oh, I forgot to schedule, we can't go now. Well, that is not true. I would rather see a kid come and wait to be judged than miss out on judging altogether. So please know that we are very flexible on that, and we want the kids to come to judging, especially if they've put all of that work into their projects. The scheduling window for summer judging is open June 15th through July 8th. If you happen to need to have any families make a change to their time slot after July 8th, have them call the office and talk to Missy, and she can go in and adjust their time slot and let them know what's available and get that changed. So we would rather that happen as well than them just scratching or being a no-show, because if they put all that work into it, we certainly want them to be there and have that judging experience. We've talked about demonstration contests already. Creative writing, anyone that has creative writing projects, we do need their writing samples turned into the office by July 1st so we can get those sent to those judges so they can have time to review those in advance. So those are due July 1st. A reminder on the food projects, it is for presentation only, unless you have kids that are wishing to compete for the county awards of best use of pork or best use of beef. If they are planning to do that, a couple things. Number one, please put in your notes for around July for any of those kids taking nutrition projects that if they are doing or competing for those awards, when they check in at summer judging, it is extremely helpful for them to note on their judging sheet that they have a beef product or a swine product so that the judges know they need to taste it and it needs to be considered for those awards. Sometimes kids are shy and then the parents are like, well, they were supposed to taste this. It's for best use of beef. Well, if we don't know that when they get judged, they miss out on that. And so make sure they know about those opportunities in advance. Again, it helps us if the parents can help mark that when they come in on their actual judging sheet. And if they are competing for those because they are tasted items, those kids do have to make sure they are following all the food safety guidelines. Style review will be on Thursday evening again at Liberty Union High School that week of summer judging, and Fashion and Nutrition Board will be doing the modeling practice on Wednesday morning. That's all listed here. Summerfest, we are changing the location for that. It will be at the fairgrounds in the Ed Sands building. We had a schedule conflict with the Liberty Center, so hopefully we can make this work. Additionally, we did bump it up a couple weeks in earlier August to be a little bit closer following summer judging and following the state fair. So hopefully that will work for everybody doing it at that time. So that'll be Saturday, August 15th. Here are some state fair reminders. We'll cover these in more detail when we have an upcoming Zoom when it relates to animals and livestock and horses and things like that. But there is a state fair scholarship deadline of April 15th that is coming up. Any kids who have taken projects of any kind as a junior fair exhibitor through 4-H or FFA to the state fair, and this is also non-livestock kids, know that there are scholarships available from the state fair, and you just have to apply. A lot of times there are specific scholarships that don't have any eligible folks apply for them, and I think there is money that goes unawarded. So a lot of times that falls into those non-livestock type of projects. So please encourage your kids that are seniors, and there may be even some for college level students to check out too. So please make sure you check out the state fair website on that. I know sometimes they don't have that updated timely, but I did check yesterday and the online application has been updated for that. Any youth that plan to do open or junior fair, livestock, rabbits, dogs, things like that at the state fair, there is an online entry form for that for the state fair. It is due June 20th. That is the same deadline as they've had in years past. All of those state fair livestock show schedules are posted on their website. We will not have a local county qualifier for anyone taking companion animals. We just need to know if they are taking companion animals. If they wish to participate in state fair, let us know and we'll help get them registered. And then again, anything that is judged during summer judging, the way those are placed, the judges help determine who goes on to state fair, and we will make sure that those kids get entered. All right, this is maybe more specific to livestock, so I'm going to skip it for now and we'll talk more about it at the future Zoom. I think that's okay. Same with this slide here. The thing I'd point out on this is that on the animals for state fair, possession deadlines did change some last year. So make sure any of those kids that are wishing to do that, double check that on the state fair website. State fair skillathons are open to kids in 4-H and FFA, even if they do not have animals at the state fair. If you have kids that are not even enrolled in a pig project, but want to know more about pigs, they could study about pigs and go do the skillathon at state fair. There is a lot of flexibility on that, and really they want to see kids just have that learning experience. I've helped with the state fair skillathons. I've seen kids that actually make it, it's kind of like a quiz bowl thing for themselves, I guess, where they actually sign up to do the skillathons for every species that's available, and most of them have never even taken projects in those species. So that's one way kids can get involved at the state fair, even if they don't have animals up there or they don't qualify through a summer project. They could go up and do state fair skillathons. There is a record book competition for those kids that take animals to state fair. It's turned in at the skillathon, but it is not required for those skillathons. So again, anyone can participate in the skillathons, even if they aren't enrolled in a project there at the state fair. If any kids are taking and doing the state fair skillathon, it is what will be considered on the alternative skillathon waiver. We'll talk about that more when we do the upcoming Zoom at a later time on those types of updates. Junior fair reminders, all of this is pretty much the same as it has been in the past, other than just adjustments on the dates. Junior fair entries will have a 2-week window of time where they'll be turned into the senior fair office again in August. Everything as far as advisor passes, as far as I know, is staying the same. And the biggest thing with regard to our county junior fair entries is that there will be updated junior fair entry forms this year, and we will share those at a later time. The way the fair entry program works on a computer standpoint is there are different windows that the ladies over there in the office doing the computer entry have to open as it relates to market entries versus breeding entries versus everything else. And so when everything is on one entry form, it really makes it hard for them to key that in and not miss something. So we are going to have 3 separate entry forms, and you'll have to have the kids fill those out depending on what their projects are. So if you have a kid that is taking a breeding animal, a market animal, and let's say a cakes, pies, and candies entry, they are going to have to turn in 3 different fair entry forms. And I know that's more paperwork, but that's what is going to be changing there. Make sure as kids are making their enrollments for your particular club, you run your enrollment reports from 4-H online, and that they should only be making fair entries for projects that they are enrolled in. Junior fair passes, as far as I know, the distribution on those will still be the same. Same as parent passes. I will let you know, and I don't have specifics right now, but I will share those once I get those from the fair board. Passes, the prices on some of these passes are going up this year, and gate sale prices for the fair are also going up. So that is going to be a different adjustment for some. We will get that information to you as soon as it is confirmed. They only recently voted to approve that at a recent senior fair board meeting since the first of the year. So I will make sure we get that updated for all the different admission prices that they have, so that you can share that with your families. Other updates. So we are going to try to do more of these Zooms to help with advisor training and updates. I think it went really well last night, and hopefully you guys agree with me this morning. So be looking for that. We also started a Facebook group. If you are on Facebook, hopefully you got the information on how to join a 4-H advisors group for Fairfield County 4-H advisors. We will be posting things in there as well, especially as things unfold with this coronavirus, and resources and ideas that can be shared amongst advisors to help conduct your club work and club meetings. I think that's a great place for us to share that. If you need help joining that, let us know, and we can hopefully send you a direct link to do so. A few weeks ago, I shared on the 4-H Weekly News information about the 4-H Bogs boots, and those will not be available to the fall, but Walker's Shoe Center in Lancaster is hoping to get enough of those based on what the demand will be. So they're doing a pre-order here this spring, collecting order forms and money directly in their store so that they can add those to their pre-order, and it's a guarantee that you can get those when they make their order. They will also have some that in the store that they'll sell, but it'll be first come, first serve on sizes. And hopefully those will all be in the hands of those that want them before fair, which will be kind of fun. Tractor Supply and Joann's are continuing their promotion with the National 4-H Council, and there are the dates for the paper clover promotion at Tractor Supply, and the Joann's promotion is actually going on right now through April 30th. And so those are ways for people to support the 4-H program. And the TSC, actually, we get, I believe, 90% of what is sold on the paper clovers back to the county program from the 3 stores that actually operate in Pickaway County, or not Pickaway, sorry, I live in Pickaway. I meant to say Fairfield. The 3 stores that are in Fairfield County, we benefit from 3. So that's really exciting and a nice way for us to get some money for county funding. The Joann's promotion, because there are fewer Joann's stores, the money that the state 4-H program collects on that, after that promotion wraps up, they're going to distribute through a grant process, a mini grant process. And last year, Aubrey and Shannon worked on getting a grant for us that the Fashion and Nutrition Board and Junior Leaders partnered on. And that was the fleece tie blankets that we did at 4-H Day. But those are going to benefit Honor Flight. So those are types of things that we can put in for that mini grant proposal. Aubrey and I have not talked about mini grant proposals yet, but if you guys have any ideas on different things, let us know, and we can, maybe work that out as a a joint project between maybe one of our countywide teen groups and your individual club. They really want to see the funds from the mini grant actually maybe go back toward Joanne's through purchasing items and supplies for whatever the project might be. So think about different ideas there and let us know, and we can submit that through that mini grant process. I think those are due on our end to the state by May 1st. Is that correct, Aubrey? Do you recall?
I think so. It's somewhere in there.
Okay. So as we wrap up, again, we are doing skillathons in September of 2020. That will be a requirement for kids showing at the fair. We will cover that in more detail soon. In the meantime, though, we did share a YouTube video that Connie and Phil and Chuck and Aubrey and myself put together on some of the basic overviews of that. So please review that and share that with your 4-H club members, at least for now. As you get questions from families about skillathons or Premier Exhibitor, send those my way, and we can kind of hopefully identify if that's a common question that we need to address and get information back to you guys. In that upcoming Zoom, we'll also give some updates on livestock, horses, dogs, and other junior fair updates. Kids that are showing hogs at the state fair have to have a family member certified in PQA, which stands for Pork Quality Assurance. And so we will cover details about that. There are some adjustments with ODA's requirements on quality assurance this year, and I will share those in this upcoming Zoom that we plan to hopefully schedule within the next couple of weeks. And we'll talk about a couple updates with the MQP scoring and how incorporating skillathons this year and how that might adjust Premier Exhibitor programs for the fair. So any other livestock animal type things that you think that I need to cover that we did not cover today or are not on this list, shoot me an email and I'll make sure we build that into that presentation, and then we will send invitation information out about that as soon as we are ready to schedule that. So as we wrap up, I just want to say thank you on behalf of Aubrey, myself, Missy, and the others there in our office for your continued support and all that you do for the 4-H program. We could not do this without you, and I think you all truly understand that in order to have a 4-H club program of nearly 1,300 members in the county, we could not do this without our club volunteers. So thank you very, very much. And honestly, I really think that considering where we are right now with this unusual time in all of our lifetimes where we are working from home, kids are home from school, jobs are on hold, we are in a very unique position to keep the 4-H program moving forward and keeping kids in a good mindset with things and not bringing on, stress and anxiety. I think 4-H has a great way to take a positive spin on that and help grow our kids in moving forward through this transition and hopefully restoring life back to normal sooner than later. So as we work through these different things with the start of the 4-H year, keep an eye out on emails. Know that Aubrey and I and those of us in the office are available through phone and email because we're all working from home. You just can't come see us in person. But if you want to see us in person, we can do a Zoom or anything like that. So if you want us to help with identifying ways to do virtual club meetings and things like that, Aubrey and I are very willing to help set that up for you if you feel like you are not up with technology. But I would really encourage you to reach out to some of your teens in your club and let them provide that leadership because they probably know more than I even know. And that really might make it a creative way to conduct club meetings right now until we can do face-to-face again. So stay healthy and well. And we are going to be sharing information here soon as 4-H Advisory Committee continues to plan for our 100-year celebration of Fairfield County 4-H. Which is happening in this calendar year. So a few things are Angela Kryl is working on designing a 2020 celebration logo that will be incorporated into our legacy dinner The advisory committee is also working on putting some guidelines together to send out to our 4-H members to do a design contest that will be printed then and done as a county fundraiser on apparel. So that's one way that kids can be creative and help us recognize a way to celebrate 100 years of 4-H. So more things to come on that. Again, if you have not already done so, let us know that you're here by either, if you didn't already chat and record your name to let us know. I think there's fewer of you on the call, so it's a little easier for us to see who's here and who's not. So shoot us an email if you have any questions, or know that you can reach out to us and call. I think that's all we have for today, and I will let Aubrey share any questions that any of you might have that are in the chat box.
This is a really quiet group. We don't have anything in the chat box.
I know.
Since we have a few clubs on today that weren't on last night, I'm just going to put out this reminder and you guys will get an email with more details. So Leslie said that we did place 315 new members in clubs this week. And so you guys will be getting that either today or tomorrow. And so truthfully, we wouldn't be able to do that without your commitment and your ability to recruit and promote 4-H. So please, when you get those list of names, please reach out to those kids. I've tried to add notes from things you guys suggested in the past, so you'll know if those people were at 4-H Day, so you guys can kind of connect on that if you need a talking point. And also if any of the kids' information was shared between multiple clubs, that will have a yes or no answer for you. So please reach out to those members that are interested in 4-H. If we gave you more than your club can handle right now, please let me know that. We can find other groups for them, because some of these 4-Hers are brand new and first generation. We don't want them to we don't want to lose them, and we don't want them to have a negative experience. So if your club can't take them, that's fine. Just let me know. But you'll get that by the end of the week.